2.1. The trouble with the Guscio piano is the Guscio pianissimo. The name Guscio piano means quiet game, but it's not really quiet. When it got its name, people were still playing the bloodthirsty variations of King's Gambit, like the Muzio Gambit, e4, e5, f4, e takes f4, knight f3, g5, bishop c4, g4, white castles, g takes f3, queen takes f3. Compared to that, I suppose, the Guscio piano is quiet, but there is a variation to be avoided, which is the Guscio pianissimo. That means the very quiet game. So it looks like this. e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4, bishop c5, knight c3, knight c6, knight f6, d3, d6. Junior players can usually get to this point safely, but often don't really enjoy the game that results. The position is blocked, the sides are equal, and it's hard to get things going. It can take a long time to beat worse players because things are so solid. Also, it may be that almost every game you play ends up something like this, and perhaps you'd like some variety. Why does it go wrong? Well, you should know that plan A in the opening for white and black is to play e4 and d4. You both play sensibly. 1 e4, e5, 2 knight f3, knight c6, 3 c4, c5, and white cannot play d4, so you both continue sensibly. Knight c3, knight f6, d3, d6, which is where we came in. If you really want to play like this, see the last section, but I don't think it's a good way to play. Knowing this can happen, you need to know two great ways to avoid it, which lead to opening exciting games. e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4, bishop c5, and now pawn c3. This is the main line of the Guscio piano. The idea is you play c3 and then d4. And only after the black pawn takes at d4 and you recapture at d4. So now you have both of your pawns in the center. You have your good old-fashioned center and good prospects of a quick attack down the center on the king side. I often call this plan A. Now, the problem with this is that black can use the temporary weakness of the move e4 to bring the knight to f6, which makes it difficult to stop black upsetting your little plan, because now you have a hanging pawn here that needs to be protected at e4. e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4, bishop c5, pawn to b4. This is the Evans Gambit, which is called the gift of the gods to a languishing chess world. After the b to b4, bishop takes the pawn to c3, bishop returns to c5, and then pawn to d4. So now you've gained a move on plan A, although you're a pawn down. The Evans Gambit is more dangerous than the Guscio piano for both sides. Enterprising chess players still occasionally trot this one out at master level. Bobby Fischer and John Nunn have played it with success. So let's have a look at some ideas in these more exciting lines. I'll show you, number 1, first the basic idea, number 2, secondly some important traps, and number 3, lastly some variations. You should read and play over the examples with the board, and you should do them in the order above. First ideas, and then traps, and only then variations. This is how to study any opening.